I had the best mother-in-law in the world, and at her service, we played that arrangement. Today we are continuing the series, Journey to the Table. It's focused on communion, something everyone here can probably relate to, I hope. Our traditional text is from Matthew 6, Matthew 5, just the 6th verse. Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they will be filled. Have you ever been hungry? Not the little pang that tells you it's time to eat. No, I'm talking about the tummy rumbling out loud, the hunger pangs that cause you to kind of bend over, the unending headache that tells you your body has gone too long without food. You can't think straight, and the only thought you can think about is where you can find food. You can't smile, you can't respond to situations or people because you have no energy. You get emotional and angry without notice. You're even willing to eat things you don't normally eat, like Brussels sprouts, because you're so hungry. My guess is most of us don't really get this kind of hungry very often. Perhaps we've experienced one or two of these things and we're really able to find something to eat pretty quickly. But hungry and hunger is not an easy problem to fix. One of my pastor friends has a sick dog who is slowly starving to death. He is skin and bones, except for a very bloated tummy. You can tell he's miserable and they can't do anything to fix it. Have you been the other kind of hungry? Hungry for information, for something to stimulate your mind, hungry for a true friend, for conversation, for companionship, hungry for love, intimacy, unconditional acceptance. Have you ever been hungry for a listening ear, hungry to be heard, hungry for God? My observation in ministry is that most of us have experienced or even regularly experience a kind of hunger that has to do with this spiritual hunger. But make no mistake, it is very real to be hungry this way, longing, yearning for something that has not been met emotionally or spiritually. Think how often we use that food metaphor for what we want emotionally or spiritually. I need some brain food. We engaged in a meaty discussion. I need to chew on that idea. We hunger for truth. The teacher spoon-fed us information. She sure shoved that down our throats. Her concept was half-baked. So this hunger idea is both a physical state and a spiritual/emotional state. Let's take it a bit farther. To answer the question of physical hunger, we eat food. But how do we address spiritual hunger? Ironically, the answer is much the same. Food, spiritual or physical. Food is the language of care. It's the thing we do when traditional language fails us. When a person dies, we take food. When a baby is born, we put food in the freezer for the family. When someone has surgery, we take food. When a couple gets married, we eat together. When someone's lying in a hospital bed, we urge them to eat. You have to eat to keep your strength up, we say. Food, it's the language of care. When we don't know what to say or our words seem inadequate, we start baking. Rachel Evans wrote, "The first thing the world knew about Christians was that they ate together. Yes, those Methodist casseroles and congregational desserts, they've been going on for a long time. The ancient people gathered in homes, people of all makes and models gathered to eat and to pray together. And according to historians, the focus of those early meals was not on Jesus' death. The purpose of those meals was friendship, to share stories, to develop relationships, to build community. They ate spiritual food while they ate physical food. A couple of years ago, I learned that some new church starts are actually organized around a meal. It's an old, new idea. People come together on an evening. It doesn't matter if it's Sunday or not. They cook together, and then they eat what they've prepared. It's an intentional meal where conversation is encouraged, and there's often a story or a lesson to guide the conversation. There may be prayers or singing. They clean up what they've eaten, and then they go home. It's a worship experience in its own right. They're called dinner churches. Are you interested? It's a worship that goes differently than our worship here. It's holy food for holy people, hungry souls that are filled with holy conversation. Sure, everybody eats regularly. Non-Christians can care for each other and make each other great food. But it's Christians who recognize that this act is sacred. It's sacrament. For Protestants, it's one of only 2 sacraments we even have. We know that eating together can be a holy experience, that our physical hunger can be addressed, but most importantly, that our spiritual hunger, our emotional hunger is sated. Food is the language of care. When we eat together intentionally, we are doing something sacred. One of my friends posted a picture of her church last Sunday. It's Rose Hill United Methodist Church. And children in the photo, I would guess they were older elementary school age. It was all children standing in front of the communion rail, and they were serving communion. Younger children, but also adults, were receiving it. And she put a comment under the picture: all are welcome to seek, to participate, to serve. Taste and see that the Lord is good. So that picture captured my imagination, and I began to think about what would it be like to center our communion service on children. After the children's message this morning, I'm rethinking it. But during the week, when it seemed like a better idea, I was thinking, if it were children up here serving communion, would anybody be talking about the size, the shape, and the content of the crackers? Would it be somber and reflective, or would it be happy and celebratory, or would it be everything along the spectrum? Would anyone be concerned whether they were able to, worthy to, or accepted as in order to partake? Would we worry about how many cups or how much wine? Would we feel differently if a child served us? What would our spiritual hunger be? More satisfied or less? When you're feeling starved, either physically or spiritually, the temptation is to gobble up whatever you can find. We've probably all done this at one time or another, usually potato chips. Just stuffed ourselves like hungry wolves without taking a breath between bites. But when that happens, we don't take time to exhale. We just gorge. Anne Lamott says, nothing can be delicious when you're holding your breath. For something to be delicious, you have to be present to savor it, and presence in your attention and your flow of breath. It begins in your mouth, and then it connects to your head and to your body, between and through your throat, and into your lungs and into your tummy, a beautiful connective cord of air. Consider this connective cord from head to heart through the mouth. Are you hungry? Are you stuffing yourself with things like shopping or chocolate or another person or alcohol or expensive purchases or even, yes, food? Are you holding your breath and stuffing things in without even realizing that you're not breathing, that there's no connective cord? Is your eating, your living, addressing your real hunger inside? Jesus said, "Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they will be filled." Filled with what? It seems to me that our hunger, our emptiness, our yearning can only be filled with things like good music, a long walk with a friend, a nap with the cat or the dog, intimacy with our lover, reading an inspired book, a slow, long sip of hot tea, cuddling with a baby, singing out loud, dancing in the wind, taking quiet time to meditate, volunteering to help a person in need. And the reason these things satisfy the hunger within us is because they are the things of God, holy food for holy people. These are the habits of those who have hungered and thirsted for righteousness. So my prayer for you as your minister this week is that you begin to experience that holy hunger and then some holy food, connective food that will sate your heart, your head, your very soul, and fill you to the depths with the righteousness of God. Take a moment this week to stuff yourself with love. Amen. So you have 8 extra minutes to eat cookies and drink coffee today. That, my friends, is Holy Communion. And the reason that it is not because of the cookies or the chocolate at all, but because of the conversation, because of the friendship, because of shared tears and laughter, because of sharing our lives. So take your 8 extra minutes before you race off to beat the Presbyterians to lunch and commune with one another in fellowship hall. Amen. Good morning. We are so glad you are here on this beautiful day. If you didn't notice, we have a tree outside that is new, and it's a perfect day to worship together. Our call to worship is this. This is the time, and this is the place. Here and now, God waits to break into our lives, to change our minds, to change our lives, to change our ways, to make the world a new light, to fill us with hope, joy, and certainty for the future. So here and now, in this time and place, let us worship God together. As you're able, please stand and sing Faith of Our Mothers. And now take a moment to greet those around you as our children come up. It's so good to see you this morning. So what is today?
Mother's Day.
Mother's Day, of course it is. Did you do anything special for your moms today?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I got her a breakfast from Panera, and my sister and me made clay things for her. Mine was like a fingerprint of me with a string tied around it.
How
Remember,
wonderful.
Don't forget, I love you.
Don't forget, I love you. That's perfect. Now, we know we love our mothers, and I think all of you have active moms in your lives. Who else loves you? Okay. Who else loves you?
My dad.
Your dad?
Yeah.
Okay.
My sister, my sister, my cousin.
Your sister, your cousin, your aunts, all your family, your grandparents, I heard over here. Yes. Do your teachers help you?
Yep.
All kinds of people love and nurture you, right? And one of the best things about being part of a church like this is you've got lots of people to love and nurture you also, who truly care about you. So I would encourage you to thank your moms. I've lost control, Paul. I have lost control.
It's not you, it's me.
They're waving out there. So what I want to leave you with today is we have lots of people out there who care about you. All right, go back with Anna and Megan. Thank you.
Good morning. Come now to our time of joys and concerns. So A few years ago, I stood up here and told you that I had been accepted to Phillips Theological Seminary in their MDiv program. Today, I'm standing here to tell you that a week from yesterday, May 20th, I will graduate with the Masters of Divinity. The congregation is invited to graduation. It is in Tulsa at 11 a.m. There's information in your bulletins. However, I know that is a burden for some, so Dwayne and I are opening up